Admiral Marcus Davidson stood at the observation deck of the UES Nemesis, his weathered face reflecting against the reinforced plasteel window. Below him stretched the gleaming hull of humanity's greatest achievement, a warship that represented the culmination of 10 years of suffering, rage, and technological advancement. The vessel was massive, stretching nearly 4 kilometers from bow to stern, its obsidian surface dotted with weapon emplacements that could reduce entire fleets to atomic dust. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Jun Nakamura's voice broke through his contemplation. The final systems check is complete. All weapons are operational. Davidson turned, his steel-gray eyes meeting Nakamura's determined gaze. And the quantum drive. Operating at 110% efficiency, sir. Director Joe's modifications exceeded all expectations. Davidson nodded slowly. A decade ago, humanity had been a peaceful spacefaring civilization, establishing colonies across the solar system and taking its first tentative steps into interstellar space. Then the Kraxen came. Their massive ships had appeared without warning, their crystalline vessels glittering like deadly jewels against the void. They had offered peace, trade, and cultural exchange. It had all been a lie. "Show me the casualty reports from New Eden again," Davidson ordered, his voice steady despite the pain the request brought. The holographic display materialized before him, showing the devastating aftermath of the Kraxen's first strike. 5 million dead in a matter of hours. Men, women, children, the aliens had made no distinction. They had viewed humanity as nothing more than cattle ripe for harvesting. Commander Olivia Reeves, his tactical officer, stepped forward. "Sir, the Kraxen defense fleet at Proxima Centauri has changed formation. They're clustering around their primary battle station." "They know we're coming," Davidson mused, a grim smile touching his lips. "Good, I want them to see us. I want them to understand exactly what they've awakened." The UES Nemesis represented everything humanity had learned about warfare in the decade since the first attack. Its hull was lined with adaptive armor that could repair itself in real time. Its weapon systems included gravitational lances that could tear ships apart at the molecular level, and its shields were reinforced with quantum field generators that could withstand the force of a small supernova. "All hands battle stations," Davidson commanded, his voice echoing through the ship's communications system. "This is not a drill. Today we show the Kraxen that humanity is not prey. We are not victims. We are the storm that will sweep their empire from the stars." Throughout the massive vessel, thousands of crew members moved with practiced precision. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Rajesh Patel monitored the quantum drive's output, his fingers dancing across holographic controls as he fine-tuned the massive power plant that would carry them into battle. "Weapons control status report," Davidson barked. Lieutenant Wei Chen's voice came back crisp and clear. "All primary and secondary weapon systems show green, Admiral. Gravitational lances are charged and targeting systems are locked. Drone swarms are prepped for launch." Davidson took his command chair, feeling the familiar embrace of the neural interface as it connected him directly to the ship systems. Through it, he could feel every aspect of the massive vessel. Its heartbeat became his own. Its sensors extended his consciousness into the void. "Plot jump coordinates to the Proxima Centauri battle station," he ordered. "Let's remind the Kraxen why they should have left humanity in peace." The quantum drive hummed to life, its energy building to a crescendo that vibrated through the ship's superstructure. The stars beyond the viewscreen began to blur as space itself prepared to bend to humanity's will. "Sir," Nakamura reported, his voice tight with anticipation, "the Kraxen fleet is broadcasting a message. They're demanding our surrender." Davidson's laugh was cold and sharp as broken glass. "Send them our response. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity survives. Humanity prevails." With a flash of quantum energy, the UES Nemesis vanished from Earth orbit, carrying with it humanity's vengeance and the promise of retribution. The Kraxen had taught humanity the price of peace. Now they would learn the cost of war. As the ship emerged from quantum space near Proxima Centauri, the massive Kraxen fleet came into view, hundreds of crystalline vessels arranged in defensive formations around their battle station. For a moment, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Then Davidson gave the order that would change the course of the war. All weapons, fire at will. Show them no mercy, for they showed us none. The crystalline ships of the Kraxan fleet shattered like glass in the wake of the Nemesis's first salvo. Gravitational lances carved through their formations, reducing their once-proud vessels to cosmic dust. Lieutenant Commander Nakamura watched in awe as the ship's drone swarms deployed, thousands of autonomous fighters streaming from launch bays to engage the enemy's smaller craft. Multiple direct hits on their battle station, Lieutenant Wei Chen reported, his fingers dancing across the tactical display. Their shields are failing. Admiral Davidson stood unmoved, his neural connection to the ship feeding him real-time battle data. Through the quantum-enhanced sensors, he could feel the panic spreading through the enemy fleet. The Kraxan had never faced anything like the Nemesis before. Their tactical doctrine, developed over centuries of unopposed expansion, had no answer for humanity's technological leap. Incoming transmission from the battle station, Commander Reeves announced. There, begging for mercy, sir. Davidson's expression hardened. Play it on the main channel. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the alien face of Supreme Commander Vexther. The Kraxan's crystalline carapace, usually a symbol of their species' pride, was cracked and dulled with fear. Please, the alien's translator conveyed, we surrender. Spare our civilians, we didn't know. Didn't know what? Davidson's voice cut through the alien's plea like a blade. Didn't know that humans were sentient, that our children could feel pain, that our colonies weren't just resources to be harvested. Chief Engineer Patel's voice came through the internal comm. Sir, quantum drive is recharged. We can pursue any retreating vessels. The battle continued to unfold around them. The Nemesis's advanced targeting systems methodically eliminated any Kraxan ship that attempted to flee. Their much-vaunted crystal technology, which had seemed so superior during their first attacks on human colonies, proved worthless against weapons designed specifically to exploit its weaknesses. We have studied your kind, Vexther continued desperately. You speak of mercy in your histories, you value compassion. We did, Davidson interrupted, before you taught us otherwise. He turned to Wei Chen. Target their battle station's reactor core, full power to the gravitational lances. The massive weapon systems of the Nemesis realigned, focusing their destructive potential on a single point. The battle station's crystalline structure began to resonate, fractures spreading across its surface like spider webs. Admiral, Nakamura spoke softly, there are civilian habitation sections in that station. Davidson's jaw tightened. How many civilians were in New Eden, Commander? How many on Mars Colony? On Titan Base? He paused, letting the questions hang in the air. The Kraxan made this war total when they targeted our families. We're simply following their example. The gravitational lances fired, their beams distorting space itself as they struck the battle station. The massive structure began to implode, its crystalline form collapsing in on itself as artificial gravity wells tore it apart at the molecular level. Through the neural interface, Davidson could feel the deaths of thousands of Kraxan. Their fear, their confusion, their final moments of despair, all of it filtered through the ship's advanced sensors. He forced himself to experience every moment, to bear witness to the consequences of their vengeance. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Reeves reported. Kraxan reinforcements arriving from their core worlds. Davidson's lips curved into a cold smile. Good, let them come, let them see what awaits them. He turned to his crew, seeing the same determined resolve in their eyes that he felt in his heart. This is just the beginning. Every world they took from us, every life they stole, will make them pay for it all. The new Kraxan fleet emerged from quantum space, their ships larger and more numerous than the force they had just destroyed. But something had changed. The confidence, the arrogance that had marked their previous encounters was gone. Through the quantum comms, Davidson could intercept their transmissions, hear the fear in their voices as they beheld the wreckage of their battle station. All hands, Davidson's voice echoed through the ship. Prepare for Phase 2. The Kraxan thought they could break humanity's spirit. Instead, they forged it into a weapon. Now we'll show them exactly what that means. The Nemesis's weapons charged again, its systems adapting to the new threats. Humanity had learned from every battle, every engagement. Each confrontation made them stronger, more efficient in their revenge. In the cold void of space, surrounded by the debris of destroyed Kraxan ships, the UES Nemesis stood as a testament to humanity's evolution. They had been forced to become something new, something terrible, and they would ensure the Kraxan lived just long enough to regret awakening this transformation. The battle for Proxima Centauri was just the first step. Ahead lay the Kraxan homeworld, their colony systems, their entire empire. Humanity would not stop until every crystal spire was shattered, until every Kraxan world felt the same fear they had inflicted on Earth's colonies. This was the price of their aggression. This was the echo of humanity's vengeance, rolling across the stars like thunder before the storm. 3 months after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, the UES Nemesis hung in orbit around the ruins of Kraxan's largest shipyard at Helios Prima. The massive construction yards, once capable of producing the crystal ships that had terrorized human space, now drifted as clouds of glittering debris. Admiral Davidson watched through the quantum sensors as the last emergency beacons flickered and died. "Casualty report," he commanded, his voice carrying the weight of countless similar requests. Lieutenant Wei Chen's response was immediate. Estimated 98% of shipyard personnel eliminated. Surviving escape pods have been tagged for tracking. "Let them run," Davidson said. "Let them spread the word of what happens to those who serve the Empire." The war had changed in ways none of them had expected. The Nemesis's devastating attacks had sparked a civil war within the Kraxan Empire. Several outer colonies, seeing the inevitable, had declared independence and sued for peace with Earth. Others had doubled down, calling for the complete extinction of humanity. Commander Reeves approached the command chair, her uniform bearing new scorch marks from their recent battle. "Sir, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Joe requests immediate communication." Davidson nodded, retiring to his private quarters where a secure quantum channel awaited. The holographic form of Admiral Helen Joe, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, materialized before him. "Marcus," she began, dispensing with formalities, "the Kraxan have crossed a line. They've deployed bioweapons against Morgan's world." Davidson felt his blood run cold. Morgan's world had been one of humanity's most successful colonies before the war, home to over 12 million people. Casualties. "Initial reports suggest 40% of the population infected. Our medical ships are en route, but—" Joe's hologram flickered with static, or perhaps it was emotion. "The Kraxan engineered the virus specifically for human DNA. They're calling it the Crystal Plague." Chief Engineer Patel's voice came through the internal comm. "Admiral, you need to see this. We've decoded more of their tactical database from the shipyard." The holographic display split, showing Patel's findings. The Crystal Plague was just the beginning. The Kraxan had prepared contingencies for the systematic genocide of humanity, plans that had been in place long before their first peaceful contact. "They never intended to coexist with us," Davidson said, the realization settling like ice in his veins. "We were always meant for extinction." "Correct," Joe confirmed. "And now we have proof. The Security Council has authorized Protocol Omega." Davidson's eyes widened. Protocol Omega was the most closely guarded secret of the war effort, a weapon so terrible that its mere existence had been compartmentalized across multiple secure facilities. "The calculations are complete," Joe continued. "The quantum resonance device will shatter every piece of crystal technology within 50 light-years of detonation. Not just their ships and stations, their cities, their life support systems, even their bodies." Lieutenant Commander Nakamura entered with updated battle reports, pausing as he sensed the gravity of the conversation. The young officer had proven himself countless times during their campaign, but the weight of what they were considering now showed clearly on his face. "How many?" Davidson asked quietly. "Conservative estimates put the Kraxan population at 90 billion. Joe replied. The device would affect approximately 60% of their core worlds. The silence that followed was heavy with the weight of history. Humanity stood at a crossroads, facing a choice between survival and genocide. We swore we would never become like them, Nakamura said softly. Davidson turned to his officer. We swore to protect humanity, everything else is secondary. The quantum sensors suddenly flared with alerts. Commander Reeves's voice came through the comm with urgent clarity. Multiple quantum signatures detected, massive Kraxan fleet incoming, larger than anything we've encountered. Davidson returned to the bridge, his decision made. The holographic displays showed hundreds of Kraxan warships emerging from quantum space, led by vessels twice the size of their standard dreadnoughts. They're deploying something new, Wei Chen reported, his hands flying over the tactical controls. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Through the neural interface, Davidson could feel the enemy fleet's power. The Kraxan had been holding back, waiting to deploy their true strength. Now, faced with extinction, they were committing everything to this battle. Admiral Joe, Davidson spoke into the quantum comm, begin Protocol Omega deployment. We'll hold them here as long as we can. The Nemesis's weapons charged, its systems adapting to the new threats. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, preparing for what might be their final battle. They had become something terrible in their quest for vengeance, but now that transformation might be the only thing standing between humanity and extinction. All hands, Davidson's voice rang through the ship. This is the moment that decides the fate of our species. The Kraxan thought they could break us. Instead, we broke their empire. Now they come with everything they have left. Let's show them everything we've become. The void erupted with weapons fire as humanity's greatest warship engaged the full might of the Kraxan Empire. The breaking point had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The space around Helios Prima blazed with energy as the UES Nemesis engaged the Kraxan Armada. The enemy's new warships were unlike anything they'd encountered before, massive crystalline structures that seemed to absorb conventional weapons fire, their surfaces riddled with what looked like volcanic fissures glowing with internal energy. Gravitational lances at 15% effectiveness, Lieutenant Wei Chen reported, his voice tense. Their new hull composition is actively redistributing the gravitational forces. Admiral Davidson watched through the neural interface as 3 Kraxan dreadnoughts moved to surround them. Nakamura, analysis of their attack pattern. They're trying to establish a resonance field, the lieutenant commander replied, studying the tactical display. If they succeed, they could disrupt our quantum shielding. Chief Engineer Patel's voice crackled through the comm. Admiral, I'm reading massive power fluctuations in their ships. Whatever they're powering up, it's drawing energy directly from subspace. Davidson's mind raced through options. The Nemesis was the most powerful warship humanity had ever created, but they were facing the concentrated might of an empire that had dominated the galaxy for millennia. Then he noticed something in the sensor data, a subtle flaw in the enemy's new technology. Patel, redirect power from the gravitational lances to the quantum core. Reeves, prepare to broadcast on all frequencies. Chen, plot firing solutions on these coordinates. Davidson's commands came rapid fire as a plan formed. The enemy ships closed in, their crystalline surfaces pulsing with increasing intensity. Through intercepted communications, Davidson could hear their confidence growing. They thought they had the Nemesis trapped. Sir, Reeves called out, incoming transmission from the Kraxan flagship. The holographic display showed Supreme Warmaster Kralthex, a towering Kraxan whose crystalline form bore the deep purple hue of their ruling caste. You have fought well, humans, the alien's translator conveyed. But your resistance ends here. Surrender and we will make your extinction painless. Davidson's response was to activate the ship's quantum core at maximum power. Energy coursed through the Nemesis as its systems reconfigured according to his commands. You know what your empire's greatest weakness is, Warmaster? Pride. You're so convinced of your superiority that you never stop to consider we might understand your technology better than you do. The Nemesis's quantum core pulsed, sending out waves of carefully modulated energy. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, almost imperceptibly, the glow within the enemy ships began to change. You adapted your ships to resist our weapons, Davidson continued, watching the sensor readings climb. But in doing so, you made them vulnerable to something far more basic, resonance. The cracks in ships' crystalline structures began to vibrate. The frequency of their own power systems turned against them. Cracks appeared in their supposedly impervious hulls as the Nemesis's quantum field excited their molecular structure to its breaking point. What are you doing? Kralthex demanded, his translator struggling to convey his rising panic. Showing you the price of underestimating humanity, Davidson replied coldly. Fire. The Nemesis's remaining weapons opened up, targeting the stress points created by the quantum resonance. One by one, the mighty Kraxan warships began to break apart, their crews helpless as their own technology turned against them. Admiral, Nakamura reported, Protocol Omega is ready for deployment. Earth Command awaits your signal. Davidson watched the destruction unfolding around them. The Kraxan fleet, which had arrived with such overwhelming force, was being systematically destroyed by their own hubris. But even this victory wouldn't be enough. As long as the Kraxan Empire survived, they would never stop trying to exterminate humanity. Signal Earth Command, he ordered. Begin Protocol Omega countdown. Through the quantum comms, they could hear the desperate pleas of the Kraxan commanders as they realized their fate. Ships tried to escape into quantum space, only to find their systems failing as the resonance cascade spread from vessel to vessel. Sir, Reeves called out, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the surface of Helios Prima. They're activating something in their ground installations. The planet's surface erupted as hidden weapon systems emerged from crystalline silos. The Kraxan's final contingency plan, a planetary defense grid that could rival the firepower of an entire fleet. They're targeting Earth's coordinates, Chen warned. If those weapons fire, they could reach Earth before Protocol Omega activates. Davidson's decision was immediate. All power to forward shields, set collision course for the primary firing array. The crew's reaction was one of shocked understanding. The Nemesis had been built to save humanity. Now it would complete that mission in the most direct way possible. It has been an honor, Davidson said, looking at each of his crew members. Humanity survives, humanity prevails. The Nemesis surged forward, its quantum drives pushing past safety limits as it dove toward the planet's surface. Behind them, the surviving Kraxan ships could only watch as humanity's greatest warship prepared to make its final sacrifice. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance as the Nemesis began its terminal descent, carrying with it the weight of humanity's vengeance and the promise of their survival. The war would end here, one way or another, in fire and fury among the ashes of empire. Final judgment. The UES Nemesis screamed through Helios Prima's atmosphere, its quantum shields blazing white-hot against the strain. On the bridge, Admiral Davidson watched through the neural interface as the massive planetary defense array grew larger in their vision. They had seconds to prevent the weapon from targeting Earth, and only one way to do it. Structural integrity at 30%, Chief Engineer Patel reported, his voice steady despite the violent shaking of the ship. Hull temperature approaching critical limits. Through the quantum sensors, Davidson could see the crystalline weapon platforms powering up, their energy signatures reaching devastating levels. The Kraxan had hidden this weapon well, a last resort system capable of striking targets across hundreds of light years. Protocol Omega status, Davidson demanded. Commander Reeves checked the secure channel. Earth Command reports 90 seconds to activation. We need to buy them that time, sir. The Nemesis's hull groaned under the atmospheric pressure as they descended. Lieutenant Wei Chen's fingers danced across the tactical controls, adjusting their trajectory for maximum impact. Target locked, Impact in 15 seconds. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Nakamura called out. Emergency transmission from Supreme Warmaster Kralthex. Davidson allowed the transmission through. The Kraxan leader's crystalline face appeared, fractured with fear. Stop this madness. You'll destroy everything. The weapon's power core will detonate with enough force to shatter the planet. You should have thought of that before you targeted Earth, Davidson replied. 10 seconds to impact. Any last words, Warmaster? Wait, Kralthex's translator struggled to convey his desperation. Our scientists have discovered something, the crystal plague, it's mutating. It will affect us too. We're all dead if we don't work together to stop it. Davidson's expression remained unchanged. Then we'll die together. Humanity sends its regards. The transmission cut off as the Nemesis made its final approach. Through the neural interface, Davidson shared a moment of perfect understanding with his crew. They had all lost someone to the Kraxan, family, friends, entire colonies. This was for them. It has been the highest honor serving with you all, Davidson said, his voice carrying the weight of finality. For Earth, for humanity. The Nemesis struck the primary weapon array at near-relativistic speed. The impact was beyond devastating. The ship's quantum core detonated on contact, creating a chain reaction that rippled through the crystalline structures. The defense grid, the hidden bases, the surface installations, all of it began to break apart as the quantum resonance spread. In orbit, the remaining Kraxan ships watched in horror as their secret weapon turned into their doom. The resonance cascade reached their vessels, causing critical failures in their crystal-based technology. One by one, they began to shatter, their crews experiencing firsthand the terror they had inflicted on countless human worlds. But the destruction of the Nemesis had accomplished something else. It had bought the crucial seconds needed for Protocol Omega to activate. Across Kraxan space, the quantum weapon began its work. Every crystal structure, from the grandest warship to the smallest computer core, began to vibrate at its resonant frequency. The empire that had threatened to exterminate humanity was about to experience their own extinction event. In the debris field that had once been Helios Prima, a single escape pod drifted among the crystalline fragments. Inside, Commander Reeves regained consciousness, her ears ringing from the impact. The emergency quantum transmitter crackled to life. "This is Admiral Joe," the transmission cut through the static. "Protocol Omega is complete. 87% of Kraxan military and civilian infrastructure has been neutralized. Their empire is finished." Reeves looked out the pod's viewport at the destruction surrounding her. The cost had been enormous, the Nemesis, Admiral Davidson, most of her crew. But humanity had survived. More than survived, they had proven that even the mightiest empire could fall when they pushed humanity too far. "Admiral Joe," Reeves responded, her voice hoarse. "What about the crystal plague? Kralthex said it was mutating to affect their people too." There was a long pause before Joe replied. "Confirmed. Our scientists have verified his claim. The virus is evolving rapidly, affecting both species. We need to work together to stop it, or neither of us will survive." Reeves watched as rescue ships approached her pod, their lights piercing the darkness of space. The war was over, but a new challenge lay ahead. Humanity had proven they could destroy an empire. Now they would have to prove they could save one. "Begin rescue operations for any Kraxan survivors," Joe commanded. "As of this moment, we're no longer at war. We're in a race against extinction, both theirs and ours." As the rescue ship's tractor beam locked onto her pod, Reeves thought about Admiral Davidson's last words. Humanity survives. Humanity prevails. Perhaps survival didn't always mean destruction. Perhaps, sometimes, it meant finding the strength to forge a new path forward. The stars gleamed coldly in the void, witnessing the end of one era and the uncertain beginning of another. The Kraxan Empire had fallen, but the real test of humanity's character was just beginning. In the end, their greatest victory might not be in their capacity for vengeance, but in their ability to rise above it when the moment demanded something more. The war was over, the future awaited, and humanity, as always, would face it head-on, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead.